What is up, everybody? Welcome back. This is the JR Wisdom channel. Once again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button along with the bell. That way you receive all the notifications for all of my future videos like this. Tonight, we go live every now and then, but Tuesday night, we're about to cover this topic. I know cheating and desires and if you're, temptation and things like that. We're going to cover all that, and with that being said, I have a special guest tonight. You guys have seen her before on my show. She's co-hosted a few of my live streams in the past. So definitely going to have a good show tonight. But before I bring her on, we just going to cover, a few housekeeping rules, guys. As you enter, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. One time for the algorithm, it helps to promote the video. Also, we're going to be taking calls as well. So you guys, the link is pinned in the chat. You'll see it in blue. It says call in here. You just click it, follow the instructions. It's easy like Sunday morning and shoplifting. You can't mess it up. So with that being said, without further ado, I'm about to bring on my beautiful co-host here. Shout out to her. Let's get straight into it.
Hey, Jay.
Bianca, talk to me. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. That was such a great intro. How are you,
Oh, you
handsome?
Hey, it's always the greatest day of my life, Bianca. You know what I'm saying? You
Of
know,
course.
tell everybody where you calling in from for those who don't know.
Well, of course, I'm calling in from the Buckeye State,
Okay,
Ohio, Columbus,
that's right.
Ohio. What up? What up?
That's right. Shout out to the Buckeye State. Shout out to Ohio.
Yes.
Things like that. And for
Thanks for
those of you who
having
don't, oh, absolutely, as usual. I think this is maybe the third or this is like the fourth we've done. If you guys aren't familiar, and I'll link all those videos on the restream for you guys to check it out if you guys haven't seen any of me and Bianca's collabs. And also her information is linked in the description right now if you guys want to check Bianca out. I'm pretty sure you guys have already seen her in some way, shape, or form on my channel as well. So we're going to talk about something that's, kind of controversial, but it seems like it's becoming, even though it might have been a norm in the past, I think that it was taboo, but now it's becoming like more of a norm now. So, with that being said, we just gonna jump right into it. What's going on with this whole situation, Bianca? What's happening with it? Like, what do you think about this whole concept of if you're in a relationship with someone, and I know we're discussing this earlier, you're in a relationship with someone or in a marriage, long term, whatever it may be, and they're not giving it you've already communicated, things like that. They're not providing what it is that you need. You got these sharks poking around, men and women. You got sharks, poking or swirl or circling you and things like that, and temptations out there. Where do you? And I know we're gonna cover the biblical aspects and all that good stuff. I know that's why you're here. You know what I'm saying? Because people know you on that type of time. But we're gonna cover both ends of it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, like you said, there's a big difference though between someone being married versus in a long-term relationship. So let's set that ground,
Okay.
So depending on which one we're talking about, there's different schools of thought. But there's so many different aspects to tackle. So I think the first area to tackle is, you know, not only fireproofing your relationship, but what are some of the reasons why people cheat? And if your needs aren't being met, how do you communicate that in an effective way?
Mm,
So if we approach that, typically people cheat because of an unmet need. Okay.
okay.
And so, in my opinion, I think a lot of problems come into relationships because people either don't effectively communicate
Right.
their needs, or they're communicating and the person is not comprehending what exactly the person is saying is their need, or there's a block as to them comprehending somebody saying, hey, this is what I need, because something has troubled the other person in your relationship where they feel like, well, okay, you have an unmet need, but you didn't fix X, Y, and Z. So I'm not giving you what you need because you didn't give me what I need.
Mm.
So then it becomes that tit for tat thing, you know?
Where do you
That's what
think?
we,
Yeah, where do you think compromise fits into that? Like, let's say I'm just gonna throw something wild at you, right? me and you in a relationship, or let's just say, and I know you touched on the whole thing, relationship, marriage, or basically talking to somebody, but we're in a relationship and or marriage, and I want to introduce a third party, and I hate to just default to something sexual, but I want to introduce a third party into the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, in terms of, is that a need or just a want? Where do you consider that in
So
terms
I
of that
think
situation?
that's a want. I mean, first of all, you got to ask the question: how was the relationship founded? What are your belief systems? You know what I'm saying? Those are things that should be discussed, prior to entering a relationship with somebody, because those are important. If a person is saying these are some of the things that I desire versus this is something I want, if that's something they want and they feel like they have a need, then they should be in a poly relationship. And if you don't agree with that, then you just don't be with that person. If this is someone that says that's something that has been a fantasy of mine, I would like to fulfill it. Well, again,
Right.
it goes back down to your belief systems. You know what I'm saying? If that person is not comfortable, do you want somebody to compromise who they are, their character, their integrity, in order to fulfill your fantasy or desire? I mean, I literally have clients who their husband is telling them that they want this, and that person um is literally like feeling like, well, why does he want another person in our relationship? Am I not good enough? Um do I need to be skinnier? Do I need to be more shapelier? All these things start to introduce insecurity. So are you going to sacrifice that now because you have some fantasy? What are the implications and the consequences from those actions? So two people, regardless whether you're religious or we're not religious, if you guys are not wanting to be in a relationship where you guys have two different foundational beliefs, you know, if he's not willing to share his wife with somebody else, then why
Mm-hmm.
should she be willing to share him with somebody else?
Got you. Do you think it's right for people to be introducing new things though? And let's just say you're in a marriage, you're in a full blown marriage
Mm-hmm.
at this point, in terms of, and I know you consider that a want, which I can understand your standpoint. I think anybody would agree that that's a want, that's not a need.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think people should be introducing new things in terms of, okay, I need this from you? And what would we consider needs and wants at this point?
I think a need, in my opinion, when we look at needs, is something that helps the relationship thrive. That you have literally, it's kind of like you need air to breathe, you need water to survive.
Hmm.
Sex improves the relationship, but do you necessarily need sex to live? Do you know what I mean? So what are we determining as a need? I do
Hmm.
believe that sex is a part of a relationship and it's a need. We all have a sexual desire. It's kind of the same thing with food. You have taste buds because God wanted you to enjoy the food that you eat, but you don't necessarily need to taste food to eat it. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Right.
sex is kind of like taste buds in a relationship. We have sex because we are made to reproduce our own kind,
Hmm.
but he gave us the ability to enjoy it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's something that is definitely a part and needed in a relationship, a marriage.
Mm.
But as far as adding other things, what are those other things? We could use the if statement. What is a need? You know what I mean? Do you need, everybody needs their time alone, their sanity, but what parameters?
Yeah.
Somebody might need, okay, I need to hang out with my friends. I can't just be in the house with you and the kids all the time. I need some sanity. I need my me time. That's a need because everybody needs balance, right? But
Right.
how much is the question.
So what do you, with the women that you coach or your clients, because I know that you're involved in a few different businesses and you have conversations with women, and that's just what women do as well as men. We do the same thing. What are some of the things that you're hearing that women are saying that men are, bringing to their attention, that what they need more of
So the
from men?
biggest complaint that I hear from women is that men aren't really providing them with the love. they receive more I need sex, but they don't get the emotional part. And so I think there's a what's the word? A disconnect with men when it comes to, are you supplying her needs in order for her to supply your needs? I think that men somehow, because I posted this about women withholding sex when they're mad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe that's a huge problem. I do.
Facts. Facts.
Um, I don't believe it's right to do. Now, again, this is a exception. We're not talking about abusive relationships. We're not
Yes.
talking about, somebody's emotionally and physically abusive. We're just talking about you guys are have a normal relationship. You might have problems or whatever, and you're withholding sex. Okay. I think that's absolutely wrong for either partner. And I come from more of a biblical standpoint because we, as believers in Christ, our body doesn't belong to us. So, first of all, it belongs to God. So we
Okay.
honor him with our body. So we consider it a temple. And then when you marry somebody, we make that covenant not to that person only, but to God. So that means I'm giving my body to you, not because you own me necessarily, but I'm giving it to you because I made a covenant to God that now we're one. So I'm going to treat you the same way I treat myself, which means you now have access to me in all areas, and I have access to you. So I can't withhold myself, you know what I'm saying, from you when I'm considering you a part of me. So I think a lot of women have a hard time swallowing that pill because they feel as though nobody owns my body but me. But I don't believe that's what biblically is saying. I don't believe that it's saying, oh, well, he gets to tell you what to do with your body, how to do. It's not that. It's a mutual respect and love. It's a mutual respect because it's saying to him, you're not going to treat me any different than you would treat your own body. Would you harm your body? No, you don't want to. Some of us do, but you wouldn't harm your body. Likewise, I'm not going to harm you because I wouldn't harm my body. So I'm going to hold it in utmost regard so that I don't withhold myself because I'm angry with you. But what I need to do is figure out what it is that you feel is an unmet need that you're not getting from me. And the best way I feel like people need to do, instead of saying, hey, I'm not getting enough sex a month, coming at a woman that way.
Yeah.
Because men typically are blunt. Like, we ain't having
Facts.
enough sex. You know what I'm saying? And then y'all expect something to change. I think the best approach, and I think this goes for men and women, when you're communicating, the most humble way to communicate is to come from, look, I might be doing something wrong.
Yes.
Because if you come from the standpoint like, you know what, I think I might be doing something that's causing you to feel a certain way, how are you going to be mad at that, right? It's automatically going to tear down your defenses and it's going to open you up to hear from the other person. If you say, hey, babe, I noticed that we have a little bit of tension and we ain't really, as intimate as often. And I'm thinking I might have done something that's hurtful to you. Can you tell me what I'm doing? Because I don't like us to be in this place and I want to be able to make you feel like, I care and I love you. That's going to tear down all obstacles, okay? Which will make her more open to listening and guarantee if you have something all against what she's doing, she's going to be like, dang, he came to me all humble like that. It's going to surprise her. And she's going to probably be like, you know what? I know I ain't doing everything right. And I probably said X, Y, and Z. I'm sorry. Right?
Right.
That's typically, if you're coming out of love and humbleness, people will start to see themselves because it puts a big boulder of coal on their head. They know when they're doing something wrong.
A big boulder of coal. I like that one right there. Yeah. Yeah. So before I get in, so you said love, and before I get back, because I'm gonna ask you another question here, but just shout out to everybody. Hey, real quick, just make sure you guys are hitting that like button. We need to run this up to at least 50 likes. We're at 23 right now. It helps to promote the video one time for the algorithm. We're trying to get this information and this good quality content out to everyone. So by you hitting that like button, is free. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps to promote the video. And I want to give a shout out to Act Barrel Yeshua for the super chat. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? And also, guys, we're gonna be taking calls here later, so the link will be in the description if you want to stick around and call in to ask any questions you may have.
Why
So
I don't get to see no comments? Where's the comments?
yeah, I don't. You should be able to see the comments on your end. I don't know why you can't see. It should be if you got the comments set on there, it should be coming up on there on your screen.
I don't know how to set it. So, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see.
you see it. You got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I can't see the video when I do that.
Yeah, I mean, you might have to pull up your another phone or your computer and just have it set. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, ladies, so the ladies are telling you that love. So, is it when they're saying that love is what they need from men? That's the biggest complaint.
So
Is
they
it?
feel as though men don't understand the difference between love and, men might say, okay, I love you, and their way of demonstrating it. And I mean, we know the book, love languages. I
Mhm.
think that's huge because if you don't know your person's love language, you might be doing acts of service, but their love languages is words of affirmation.
Facts.
And so you're like doing, well, I did this and I put the wheels on the car, and I went to the grocery store and blah 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 like you asked, and they're like, but that okay, I see that, but their love language is words of affirmation. Their love tank is still empty. You feel me?
Yes.
While you doing all this other stuff. Or maybe their love language is quality time, but you so busy at work and you think that sending her a box of chocolates was good enough and she should have been happy, or sending her on a trip and she like, I didn't need that trip. You spent all that money and I just really wanted to have Netflix and chill. I just
Mm.
wanted you to spend some quality time.
Let me ask you that. Let me ask you this, Bianca. Who do you think are better communicators in this aspect? Do you think women are better communicators or are men better communicators?
I don't like looking at it from that standpoint because I think that women and men communicate differently. So I don't think one is more a better communicator than the other. I think that we all have our differences in how we communicate. We
Hmm.
have to learn how to communicate and then affirm one another by listening. So if you say, hey, I need more sex, we only have sex once a month, and then you got auntie coming in once a month too. So I mean, like, well, I'm literally not getting anything, right?
Yeah.
I might be hearing like, well, dag, like, I can't help that I have a cycle every month. What does he expect from me? I'm
Yeah.
working on it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah. I
need to
seen that you did a
communicate.
video on that little video. But anyway, yeah, I remember you did like a clip about that. Yeah, but go ahead,
but
continue. I
but
want to hear
I
this.
think we need to repeat back and say, okay, I heard you say X, Y, and Z, and this is how it makes me feel. And then that person need to say, okay, well, I said this, but this is not really how I meant it. This is what I really meant. People don't take that time to really, comprehend one another. You know what I mean? And ask questions and, you know, say, is this what you mean by what you're saying?
Do you think women speak in innuendo more so men are direct and saying, or do you think men, based off your experience and what you're hearing from your clients, then I'm asking you this, both sides. They
Um,
may be in contradiction of each other, or they may not be together in terms
I
of
see where you
agreement.
going, Jay.
I'm just being honest. Like, do you think?
I will be honest.
Yeah.
I have a lot of men tell me that I'm not a typical woman, and when I ask them what they mean by that, they say you're very direct. They'll tell me that you're very
Okay.
direct, you mean what you say, and they'll tell me that you communicate. I feel like sometimes I do. I feel like I communicate like a man. When I talk to women, they get on my nerves. Um,
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah.
sounds bad. Women might
Hey.
be like, women might be on this feed thinking that I'm somehow being a pick me, but I'm not a pick me by a far
Nah.
stretch.
Nah.
I'm just saying I have more of I would say masculine undertones, in the sense that I say what it is that I need. I communicate very clearly. I don't beat around the bush.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use no undertones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really direct, and actually women find me to be very rude because I'm very direct. And but with men actually tell me they prefer
Yes.
like me being that way.
Yes.
And so I would say women do talk in code. And
Mm-hmm.
I always always instruct my women that I'm coaching, like, why do you talk in code? Why do you say this but really mean this? Like, why are you doing that? Like, what? I don't know why. But again, I feel like that's part of my struggles when I'm coaching women. A lot of my people are men. I coach men, honestly.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because women, I've never understood the mentality. A lot of them do speak in innuendos. They don't say what it is that they really mean. They expect that you're supposed to understand. Then they get irritated when you ask questions.
Right.
And it's kind of it's weird. You know what I mean? And I feel like
Mhm.
it's a lot of mental
Gymnastics.
combative games. And
Yeah.
I don't do that. So I don't typically have female friends like that. Now I will say, the women that I am around that are more like me, uh we kind of have some problems with men in the sense that sometimes we can be too direct, and some men feel like, well, I would say insecure or weak men feel
There
that
you
we're
go.
too
There you go.
masculine. Do you see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? The insecure weak men that want to dominate and control feel like we are too masculine. But the men that are on my level, I got all types of male friends that love my presence. Like, I love being able to stroke their ego. I know how to talk to them. I know, like, we're good together because I feel where they're coming from. We don't have no guessing games. There's no beating around the bush. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you because a lot of fellas we feel that way, and I know myself personally. We feel that women want us to be mind readers or know what they're thinking in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always that way. Some guys, we can't take innuendo. Some guys don't know. And it's better to say, as adults, if we're adults, we're going to say, you should be able to say what's on your mind. You should be able to articulate your wants and needs. If that's the case, if that's what you want from me, if you want me to be more loving, tell me, show
Right.
me. If you want me to buy you gifts, tell me. If you
Mm-hmm.
want me to rub your back, if you want me to even sexually, if you want me to do something, or if you don't like it this way, I appreciate a woman, me personally, I appreciate a
To
woman
tell
that would
you.
tell me, "Hey, I want you to do it this way," or "I would like you to do it this way." You know what I'm
It's
saying? I appreciate that. But go ahead.
it's the art of, I feel like there's an art of communication. We know about the 48 laws of power,
Right.
but there's another book I ain't even gonna tell you about. But learning how to communicate, like I always said to, a lot of the females that I talk to, I'm like, I never understood women who complain about their sex life, when why aren't you saying, this is what I like, do it
Yes.
this way? Like, I'm all about, let me teach you how to please me, because
Facts.
I'm not trying to be here faking and pretending. Like,
Facts.
I'm gonna need to tell you, I need you to do X, Y, and Z this
Facts.
way. Do you need me to show you? If
Facts.
I can show
Exactly.
you.
Facts.
But that's me. And I feel like some men too, that let me make sure this is clear. Directness doesn't mean rude.
Nah,
Directness doesn't have to be masculine. And that's where I say weak men get it wrong. Because
I
I'm
agree with
very
you.
direct, but I'm
Yeah.
very feminine about it. You know what I'm saying? I know how to say it in a kind, loving way. But look, that's not what I like. You know what
Right.
I mean? That's it.
No, for sure. I don't think that being direct, because I before you even said that, I feel that some certain dudes who aren't solid in who they are, they would look at that as being a woman being masculine,
Exactly.
because her saying, this is basically what I want from you. This is how I feel about it, so on and so forth. And I feel a woman should express herself, because guys, you guys, a lot of times you complain about women playing games. Women saying this, women not being direct, women ghosting you, women not being able to articulate what it is exactly, and you trying to read her mind, or
Mm-hmm.
her getting upset because you don't read her mind. But when real dudes know, we prefer a woman just like a, and I'm not saying she has to be like a guy, but just as a human being, to be able to say, this is what I want and this is what I desire. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because that, in my opinion, she could have just ghosted you and not said shit. You know what I'm saying? And you would have been looking crazy as opposed to her telling you. If a woman is telling you something, that shows, in my opinion, shows that she cares and she wants
Yes.
this relationship or this situation to continue. And if you either with it or you not. If you with it, then you're gonna oblige. If not, then I mean it is what it is. But the fact that she took the time to actually tell you, because some women will be like, well, you should have already known. You should have already known
Yeah.
that you're supposed to do this. You should have already known that you were supposed to pay my bills. I'm just giving that as an example. You should have already known that you were supposed to pay my bills. You should have already known that you should have sent flowers, XYZ.
You
You know what
can't
I'm saying?
assume. You can't assume. I know we're a little bit off on the bunny trail, and we'll get back on that bunny trail. But you said something that's very key. And I just had a conversation with one of my clients,
Okay.
a female, about this. She was asking about the whole ghosting thing, and I said, you know what? I never ghost anybody. I tell
Mm,
them specifically what I don't like and what I do like. And literally, I was talking to this one man recently, and his conversation is very surface level, and there's a way of being able to tell somebody that they're surface level without making them feel that you're demeaning them or that you're attacking them or saying that they're not good enough, right? So there's an
right.
art with it. So he was very surface level. Um, it was kind of like he had nothing deep to talk about, you know. And it's not like I'm asking him to be vulnerable or pour his whole life story out, but it was kind of like, if you're interested in me, you know that I'm a really deep thinker, and I'm telling you this is my personality. Why are you breathing on the phone? Like, I'm a busy person, I don't have time to be breathing on the phone.
Yeah.
So my way of saying, and I have a workshop called Reframing Communication, and it
Okay.
teaches people how to communicate. But I said, this is what I said to him. I said, hey, I really like deep conversation. And I'm a very busy person and I enjoy talking to you, but I enjoy talking to you most when we're like talking about things about life,
Mm,
politics and religion, and things that help me get to know you in a deeper way. So even if that means that you're having a great day and you don't have issues and problems in your life, tell me about a time you did, because see, I'm trying to understand who you are. That was me encouraging him to talk to me a certain way without telling him, dude, you so surface level, you about to
yeah.
lose me. Now, if he don't get it and he's still surface level, then I kind of am a little bit more direct, and I'm gonna say, hey, I love talking to you on the phone, but our conversations are seeming like I'm not really having much to talk about, and I don't really want to waste your time or my time.
Hmm.
So, I don't know if I'm the best fit for you. And keep it moving.
I think a lot of dudes would appreciate that as opposed to ghosting. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? 'Cause you're being, and I hate to use this word, but you're being accommodating, if you will, by letting him know this, like, yo, you fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to keep this going, you breathing on the phone and you on this type of time. You feel
Yeah.
me? Most women don't do that. You know what I'm saying? But you're
And
giving
they
them that,
don't. They
yeah.
don't.
They just up and go.
But I
So
wouldn't say it's just women, Jay. I think men do it too. I think men do it too. I don't think people feel like they owe you an explanation. I feel like people feel like, well, if I don't really like you, I just stop answering your phone calls. But for me, the teacher in me, I'm always wanting to tell somebody why I didn't feel like our we have a compatibility or connection. I'm always wanting to tell them so that they know if they go talking to somebody else, maybe that's not the best thing. And when I did tell that guy that, he was like, well, I was accused by other women that I was still in love with my ex because
don't,
I talked about her too much. And I said, really? I said, okay. So it made sense why he wasn't sharing past stuff. And I said, there's a difference. Then I had to explain to him. I said, it's okay to talk about your situations with your ex. I said, it's how you talk about it. I said, for me, we both literally have been divorced and we have kids. So we have co-parenting issues. To
yeah.
me, that's a commonality. That's a source of compatibility. I said, but when you're dogging your ex or talking bad about them, that's a no-no. That shows that you still have emotions for that person. But if you're
Yeah.
just simply saying, hey, I'm having some trouble with my co-parenting, this is the situation, and I'm trying to figure out how to better attack the situation in a way that, you know, I'm not hurting nobody's feelings, but my children, I'm trying to keep their best interests in mind. That shows that you have emotional intelligence and you know how to communicate and you're mature.
Mm.
You feel me, Jay?
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. I'm just like, why do certain people just do the whole ghosting thing? And from a standpoint of a man, this is a man talking about, women. I think if it all boils down to communication, this whole topic of this video, it boils down to communication and what it is. But do you think there's an inherent fear in certain people that they just think that that person, their significant other or whoever, won't be receptive to what it is they have to say
Yeah,
or
I
what it
think
is that
we
they
do.
desire?
I think that we have filters. Okay, so it comes back to subconscious programming for me. A
Hmm.
lot of us bring baggage into relationships, and that baggage may come from childhood trauma. We learn how to
Yeah.
communicate from our parents, right? We see how
Right.
they communicate, and then whether we realize it or not, we implement those same communication skills into our relationships. So, in my opinion, a lot of times we are the worst thing that someone can do, and I've been through this situation in my past relationships, is my mate would always tell me, well, I already know what you're going to say, I already know how you're going to respond.
Wow.
Really? How do you know what I'm going to say? So you're God, you now know what I'm going to say. Well, I know, well, in this situation in the past before you did it. Okay, so you're still God, you understand what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do. That becomes a pattern, and people start, you know, not being authentic and vulnerable and honest. Instead of allowing things to play out, they want to control it like they're God behind the scenes. And that's where you have problems,
Mm.
you know?
I think I I think that people just I think that they're afraid that if they say some things that the other person may not be receptive. Now, I get what you're saying because I've heard people say that I already know how you're going to respond, so I'm not even going to attempt to get on the level of trying to effectively communicate with you. Or you may blow up, or you may say something, and it's just like at that point, why are we not to say why are we still dealing with each other? If we can't effectively communicate, why are we really in a relationship? You know what I'm saying? If I'm afraid
To
to
say
say
something.
what's on my mind, you know what I'm saying?
That's a key point. And if you feel like a person, every time you say something, is blowing up,
Yes.
that's where the communication and comprehension and counseling needs to come in. Because if a person is constantly responding that way, they need to take assessment. First of all, why am I being triggered? Why do I respond this way? What am I hearing when this person says X, Y, and Z to me that's causing me to feel a certain way where I gotta shout, scream? Am I not hearing what they're saying? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's the problem. It all boils down to what you believe. Your beliefs then turns into how you have an emotional response to it, then your thoughts, and then your actions fall aligned. Now I'll give you an example. Me and you arguing, we're in a relationship, we've been arguing, not getting along for like a month or so, and I notice your pattern starts to change and you start coming home from work, you know, later than you usually do.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, this ninja, he trying to come home late from work. All of a sudden, he must be, here's the belief, he must be having an affair, right? Then that's my belief. Then there's an emotion. Now my emotion is like, oh, okay. So now he's rejecting me. Now I feel abandoned. Now
Yeah.
I feel angry. Now I want revenge. So
Yeah.
those are the emotions, right? Those
Yeah.
emotions then turn into thought. Now I'm like, oh, I need to go ahead and do my 007 CIA. Oh, I bet you it's that trick at his job, the new assistant he hired a month ago.
Mm.
Now it becomes thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then those thoughts turn into action. Now I'm gonna come, okay, I'm gonna sneak up on his job and see why you late. Oh, I'm gonna check his phone. Now you see, so you
Mm.
have to start addressing the beliefs before it ends up turning into your emotions, thoughts, and actions. And a lot
Right.
of times we go through that whole pattern without addressing, and we don't stop it at the beliefs. Like, okay, we've been arguing for a month. He's coming late home from work, and that pattern has changed. We don't stop it there. We get angry, mad. Then we start thinking all these scenarios instead of saying, hey, babe, I noticed that you starting to come home late. What's going on? A simple communication. And
Yeah.
you can say, because in our mind, we think, oh, he gonna lie anyways. And he ain't gonna be saying he cheating. He gonna tell me something else. But then we had to say, okay, but is that really true? Is he really cheating? Or what's the other problem? Why are you guys at odds? Why are we fighting? Like, can
Right.
we talk about that? See, we rather stay in the atmosphere of ambiguity instead
Yes.
of really getting into the crux of the root of the problem because we're afraid to be honest and be vulnerable.
Mm. You
Don't
the
get me
second.
preaching up in here.
You're the second guest I had that said crux. You know what I'm saying? Yo, but before I get on to the next question, yo, listen, guys, we have the beautiful Bianca Gibson here tonight joining in. You know, she's spitting some stuff. I know a lot of you guys in the chat is feeling what she's talking about. You know what I'm saying? We speaking truth, you know what I'm saying? And you guys, all you can do right now is hit that like button. It's free, doesn't cost you a thing. We got 61 people in the chat, 49 likes. Let's run it up to at least 60, guys. You can hit that like button. If you have any questions, I see some of you guys asking questions. If you got any questions, you can either super chat them and we'll respond, or you can call in and ask the questions here. You know, feel free to do that. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to Bianca's channel. Her link is in the description. You know, do that right now. Don't wait till like later. Do it right now while I'm telling you. So go ahead and do that. It's easy like Sunday morning, you know, and we're gonna get back to it. So I just wanted to take the time out to say that. Go ahead and hit that like button. Get that, run that up to 60 real quick. So I'm with that. I think that that fear, I think it's fear, it's insecurity, it's fear and insecurity together, obviously. Is that what they may or may not say instead of the direct approach is what's missing. And I think men, it's very unfortunate that people will stay in relationships for several years, maybe 10, 15, and they still are afraid to say what's on their mind or for fear of what their significant other might say. So my question to you is, with these ladies that you, I mean, ladies and men, because most of them are men from what you said that you coach, is it, are a lot of these things, are they deal breakers or are they just like basically things that really from a general standpoint, is it just things that basically don't really aren't really like deal breakers from a general
Um,
standpoint?
there's a saying, it's the small things that add up.
Yes,
Okay.
nothing's
I think
trivial.
I
Yeah.
think what happens is we come to this impasse. And to be perfectly honest, when you don't communicate and there's no comprehension, your relationship is dead. I mean, is really dead.
Mm,
And it doesn't have to be a deal breaker because communication and comprehension is key. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, and for many different people, I would say when you get in a relationship and you get to the point where you're afraid to talk, that's when you really need somebody to intervene. But
yes.
a lot of people won't humble themselves because they feel like I should be able to do this, I should be able to overcome this. But the reality of it is, if you're not seeing eye to eye, and many times it's because our subconscious programming, our own subconscious programming that we don't even realize. A lot, just like that scenario that I told you about you coming home late.
Yes.
If you had a coach or a counselor, she probably would have said, dig down deep. Okay, why did that trigger you? And that could be from childhood where you saw your father cheating on your mom, and your
Hmm.
subconscious programming basically was like, ding, he's doing the same thing your daddy did. That nigga's cheating. But we only see the surface level. We only see the emotion and the action. But it's until you go back into your subconscious mind and see why it went from 0 to 10 that you realize this is deeper than just this situation. And maybe my brain is reading this differently than what it should. Maybe he's not cheating. Maybe he's just stressed out because we're not getting along. And so he needs his moment of peace before he enters the house, because he's like, we ain't getting along, right? And so, but in my mind, it's triggering childhood trauma.
Yes.
And in your mind, you saw your parents fighting all the time, and you like, dang, I don't want to hear her screaming, hollering, I can't deal with this, right? Childhood trauma, and you literally are repeating the cycle over and over again because you're not getting to the root of the problem. We're at an impasse. You need someone to intervene so that you can start seeing behind the conscious mind to the subconscious mind to get to the root of the problem and start questioning, why are you thinking in this way? Why do you feel these feelings? Is it deeper than just what we see on the surface?
Right. Facts. So I'm gonna ask you this one real quick, Bianca. Because we about to get a little bit more personal here.
Oh,
And
God.
obviously,
Why we always gotta get personal
because
with me?
I'm not interviewing you. You're my co-host tonight, so it's not. This is a bilateral thing here. So don't feel like you can't ask me any questions, but I'm definitely going to ask you this. But before, I just wanted to acknowledge, shout out to Matrix RC for the super chat. Shout out to Doug. I appreciate you, bro. I know long time. Mars, my moderator, just made you a mod. Shout out to you. So Bianca.
Yes.
So I know you, for those who don't know, I think you've been married twice, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever felt that temptation during any of your marriages due to your needs not being met?
No, but that's different for me. I never
How?
felt. Well, it's a little different. Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you talking about it's different. You're different. Okay, continue. Continue.
See, I pride myself on being transparent and vulnerable because I think that's the only way to help people.
Facts.
Okay. So I'm gonna be
Facts.
transparent and vulnerable. I never had a desire to cheat because I was molested when I was younger. And so for me, sex wasn't something that was pleasurable for me. Okay. So
I
sex
think
was
you did say that. Yeah, I think I
yeah,
do remember you saying that. Go ahead.
sex was more of I detached it. Okay. So when you look at psychology and people who have been molested, you have many different categories, but the main two is those who become hypersexual and they're promiscuous, and then you have those people who don't want nothing to do with it.
Yes.
So for me, I kind of was like, I don't really care for it at all, right? So in my marriages, I was really good at pleasing the men I was with. They would never tell you that we got divorced because of sexual reasons,
Okay.
because I knew how to do that.
Okay.
But it was never pleasurable for me. But it was pleasurable for them, but they never knew it wasn't pleasurable for me because I just knew how to be in the role. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I never had that problem with wanting to go out and cheat because that was not my thing. But my problem in my relationships was that because I could emotionally detach very easily from men, if I felt like you were not giving me the love and attention that I needed, I could easily detach from you. And that left them feeling isolated. It made them feel abandoned, which made them think that I was cheating because I became literally emotionally detached. Do you know what I mean?
That's all you had, though. That's all you had, because we look at, as men, me personally, and this, I think I speak for a lot of men, not all men. We look at women as being emotional creatures, emotionally driven. Even sex is given, and I hate to use that term, via emotional experience that she may have, or she cheats based on an emotional experience or feeling. It's not necessarily, a dude can have the worst pipe game in this world, the dick can be trash, but if she's emotionally, attracted to him, she's attracted to his mind, he's got her mind, it could be the best thing she's ever had in
Yeah,
terms of that. So I'm saying that to say that as long as you have a woman's mind or you're able to stimulate her on that front, it's not really an issue
never.
in terms of that. So
Exactly.
sex, I get what you're saying, and I understand your background in terms of that. But that, have you ever had that need based off of, well, your emotional
Exactly.
needs
So
weren't
that's what
being
I was
met?
going to say next.
Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say next.
Okay.
So because I'm more of the way, like, if you've ever taken those love language tests and all, I'm a
Yes, I have.
people, the best way to get through to me is to excite my mind.
Right.
If you can excite my mind and mentally, like, have me like admiring you because you're intelligent and you're talking about things and educating me, like, I'm like all ears and all eyes, right?
Hmm.
So for me, my mates did not intellectually stimulate me. I was an entrepreneur. They were working 9 to 5. So when we would have conversations, it was like we were talking foreign language to one another.
Mm.
And then they would try to demean me or make me feel like I was less than, because when we would talk, it was kind of like over their head, and their own insecurities came to the surface. So then when I found men that were entrepreneurs and we talked, I would be like super like, oh my God, because I didn't have that at home. So my problem was I found myself being more emotionally attached to men who had more compatibility with me as an entrepreneur. It was never sexual, but it was more of, okay, we have all these things to talk about. We vibe. We connected on these other things, which I didn't have with my husbands. So I would still say that there was a temptation to emotionally cheat, not physically, but emotionally.
Emotionally cheat. So
Yeah.
you did have that one though.
No, I
Which is
didn't
good.
cheat, but there
No,
was
I'm
that.
just saying you did have that temptation though.
Yes, yes,
Okay. Which is basically what this video that's what this whole topic tonight is
yes,
about. We're not talking this, it wasn't sexually cheat, it's just cheat in general. So
exactly.
you were deprived in essence. So you had that temptation based off of, and do you think you did everything you could to basically communicate that person's shortcomings?
So we learn from our mistakes.
Okay.
I feel like I communicated, but I did not communicate it in a manner out of love. So you can be communicating and you can even be right, but you can be absolutely wrong at the top of your lungs. You feel me? So
Right.
I could be right about what I'm saying to you and communicating something to you, and it could be right. But if I'm screaming, hollering at you, you're not going to be able to receive what I have to say.
Right. Absolutely.
So for me, I was saying what I need. I was saying, like, I don't like you're doing X, Y, and Z, but the manner in which I did that was not in a loving manner. At that point, I was so angry. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
could say, and to be honest, I'm taking a lot of blame because I know a lot of men like to say, "Oh, women don't take accountability."
Hold her
So
accountable. Go
you
ahead.
know so
Go
I'm
ahead.
taking a lot of blame, but there was some, I would say there was reactive abuse, that was there. But I still take the blame because I always say you cannot blame somebody else for how you react and you respond, period. You either
Correct.
leave the situation or you remain, and then the way you respond and react, that's on you, because
Correct.
that person they're toxic. If they're toxic, they're toxic. But do you allow their toxicity to control how you react and respond? You need to hold your own integrity and character and do not be moved by somebody else's actions and what they say or do.
Mm. I'm
And
glad
that's
you were
hard
able
for
to say that.
people.
Yeah, I'm glad you were, especially as a woman. I'm glad you were able to say that because a lot of fellas, because we do tune out when a woman's yelling. Well, a man who's firm and who's solid and basically is like, I'm not going to tolerate you talking to me like that. If we're not going to talk like adults, You don't yell at me. I'm not a child. I'm not saying what precipitated that in the first place in your situation, but the fact that you were able to admit I wasn't able to articulate myself in a fashion that was basically where he was able to receive it. So
Yes, exactly.
therefore, so therefore, I can say that I play a part in this as well. So
Exactly.
because I know myself personally, once you start yelling, which women do, women are emotional. I get it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was talking about earlier. Women are emotional and they'll say some things, but once you start that yelling and the voice is being raised and things like that, then a lot of that stuff goes out the window where guys do get turned off with yelling. Nobody should get turned on by yelling or receptive.
There's some
At
people,
that point.
honestly, and that's subconscious programming, that get turned on by violence, and they are attracted to toxicity and drama. They feel like the relationship is going too well. They start something. You know what I mean? Because it's rooted in that trauma. But I will say, like, for me, like, my tone, even now, I'm a loud person. Like, I have some bass in my voice.
Nothing
And
wrong with
when
being loud. It's just the delivery is what's key. But go ahead.
but I'm very passionate and I'm very expressive. And so I had to learn, like, I remember in one of my marriages, he would tell me that I was angry, and I'm like, I'm not angry. I'm just passionate about what I'm saying. But because I'm such an expressive person and I use my hands and stuff, he was not used to that because he came from a family where they were real mousy and quiet. His mom was like a mousy type of person. So
Mm.
for me, he was like, oh my God, right? So I had to learn, and I'm still learning. I'm in a place, I'm always learning. Even when I do my TikToks and stuff, I'll have men say, man, you're abrasive. And I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't even angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
be like, really? You took it that way? But I realize that everybody is different, and we filter things, based on how we, grew up in the communication we saw.
Mm.
So it's just being cognizant of that.
Absolutely. Man. I see. I'm reading the chat. I'm reading I don't know if you. I know you said you can't see it at the same time, but I know there's a lot of fellas or people in the chat. Looks like mostly fellas. I don't see too many ladies in here tonight for whatever reason. I don't know what's up with that, but they appreciate what it is that you're saying in
Okay.
terms of that.
I see somebody said I'm sapiosexual.
Yeah,
Why do
yeah.
they say that?
I mean,
Why?
I guess they get from what you talking. You on that, you've ascended. You on that type of time. Doesn't make you sapiosexual, I guess, but if you're a fan of the mind as opposed to the outward appearance and things like that,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, you just basically like, yo, I'm in tune with what it is. I know my mistakes. I know what it is in terms of how to communicate now. When you look at things in retrospect, but it takes a real person to understand that, where they went wrong and what they can do to improve. Every situation, every relationship is a chance to make things right or better yourself or become the best version of yourself for the next person, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
anytime I hear a man or a woman, especially when I say I've been married twice, well, she been married twice. What are you? It always is a sign that they don't realize that they are imperfect. When
Right.
you are able to realize that, listen, I'm not perfect. It's the ones that have made the mistakes that and improve because they have figured out, okay, these are the areas that I went wrong. I want to be able to change it in this situation. Not everybody does that. Okay. So the fact that people hone in on your mistakes and not see that, wow, you've actually learned and this is what you're doing and you have grown, just shows that a lot of people are stagnant in their way of mind. And that's another reason why relationships don't move forward and they don't grow, because people want to hold you back at point A and you can't ever get to point Z if you're constantly reminding somebody of what they did wrong,
Yes.
or you're reminding someone of how they made this mistake and you haven't forgiven and given them the opportunity to start showing consistency in changes because you're constantly telling them what they did wrong. And I see men and women do that constantly in a relationship. So how do you grow? How do you heal in a toxic environment where somebody is reminding you on a daily basis, oh, you was divorced before. You did this and you did that. You cheated and you did. How do you move forward?
But in your inbox though, right?
Yeah, but it's like, how do you move forward?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, no one is above reproach, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thoughts on that. They don't. This space is weird. Which I'm gonna say this, and I know it's off topic. This space is weird. The fact that you were married, you know, as opposed to just a baby mama. You know what I'm saying? Which you would think because a lot of these guys go through, subscribe to a certain school of thought and feel a certain type of way that okay, I'm only going to deal with her if she was married. If she was just a baby mama, I don't want to deal with her. But the
Mhm.
fact that you said that you were married and you've had children by your husband or
Yeah.
husband at this point, it's still an issue. So, but at the same time, you got guys trying to contact you, you know, and somebody was just calling in, but I guess they got cold feet. It is what it. Don't get if you gonna call in, don't be trying to come in and go, yo, ask your question. Don't be a punk. Call in. Don't come in and then disappear. It is what it is. But the fact that people are told how to feel instead of themselves saying this is how I feel about something. I'm gonna have somebody else tell me how I should feel, you know, about a certain situation in a moment, as opposed to I can use my own sovereign mind to
Yes.
say how I feel about something in a moment or just in general instead of subscribing to something. I just think that's the weirdest thing ever. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
and it's funny because I see in the comments they're like, "Is this the same man hating woman on TikTok?" And it's so funny. I think people saw the one video of me telling a guy who was very verbally abusive on TikTok, and when I finally responded to him about his mentality being ignorant of not, he was saying, "How do I cash out a kid?" I think because that video went viral and people like took and ran with it, they base this false opinion without really understanding what I was really trying to say. And again, I've clarified this before. I don't care if a man wants to date a single mom. You don't have
Yeah.
to. Everybody has
Right.
preferences, right?
Facts.
You don't need to date a single mom. I
Facts.
actually tell people, if you have kids, date somebody who has kids. Don't date somebody who doesn't have kids, who's never been married. If you've been married, I prefer people who have kids. But what I am saying is, if you're a man and if you are truly trying to lead a family and you're dating someone with kids, you should never even have that mentality of, why should I cash out somebody else's kid? Don't date a person if you think that way, because those kids are not the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not the problem. So if you're choosing to date somebody with kids, you should have the mentality that, okay, I'm actually courting this person because I love her and her kids are a part of her. So, okay, if I'm going to lead this family, then it shouldn't be a problem. But nobody was saying, oh, you should be paying for somebody's kids. And I tell you, people be running with stuff like it's hilarious to me. It really is.
Yeah. Nah, facts. Nah, I believe that. So, you know, before we get into it, hit that like button, guys. We got the beautiful Bianca Gibson on here tonight. If you guys
I
aren't
hate when
familiar,
you say that.
hey, well, you're gonna have to like it. You're gonna learn to love it, baby. Anyway, hit that like button. We got the beautiful Bianca Gibson on here tonight. Make sure you guys subscribe to her channel. The link is in the description. Her TikTok, Instagram, all those great things. Yo, run this up to 100 likes. We're at 77 right now. There's no excuse why it shouldn't be at 100. You feel me? Go ahead and do that. And it's no excuse why guys shouldn't do that. So we're gonna go ahead and last thoughts here, Bianca.
Well, I wanted to bring something up before we do.
Go ahead.
Remember, I talked about fireproofing a relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
When I say fireproof a relationship, I feel like, there's temptation everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Always.
And so, you know, my thing when I was in my marriages, my thing was, you know, should I have opposite sex friends? Okay. That was a question that I asked before, we even became a item, because in my opinion, as a married couple, why am I going to have men and you have women, single women as your friends that you talk to on a frequent basis, and we're married? You know what I'm saying? To me, there was a discrepancy with that. And a lot of people disagree on this topic, but I kind of feel like, well, people were like, okay, well, what if they've been a childhood friend for years and years? And listen, my thoughts about this has changed over the years, but I do believe that you could have opposite sex friends if your relationship is strong enough. But just know those are doors that are open, because we know some people remain friends because they're waiting for an opportunity. Some people remain friends because they hear everything about your relationship, and with women we are very empathetic, and we
Facts.
might have never once came on to you, but just that one time we feeling real bad for you, and then we slipped up and gave you a kiss, a hug. Do you know what I'm saying? And so you got to understand, what am I setting up? Is this an open door? Is this an opportunity? I would, even when I was married, I did not ride in a car. I was in sales, and I was around men who was making a ton of money, who had the titles, and that was threatening to my husband, because he always felt like, okay, you're around all these men that make more than me and whatever, even though I was not that type of person. And I'd be like, dude, I married you because I love you. What are you tripping about? But that was his insecurities. But I would never get in a car with these dudes to go to assignments, because I was like, I never even want the appearance. I never even
Right.
wanted to be like me in a car with this dude and we having conversations, and it went from business conversations to what's going on with you and your man. I didn't want that. And so
Yeah.
you have to be fireproofing your relationship, because the enemy, unseen, will do everything, and you will be literally in a situation, and it happens, not like obvious, but it happens, just little bit by little bit. For real.
Mm.
How many work situations where you have adultery happening with the ugly secretary, the
All the
ugly one?
time.
She ain't even cute.
It's about how you feel in a moment. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I can dig all that, man. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying. But before we call, I'm gonna open up the lines here. If anybody wants to call, I seen we had some people that ducked in real quick, then ducked out. Maybe they got scared. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can call in. I'll give a shout out real quick to I got a few super chats, to everyone. So I'm gonna highlight you guys here. We're taking calls. The links are in the description. If you want to call in, you got a question for me or Bianca, make sure you guys hit that link. It's pinned in the chat, not in the description. It's pinned in the chat in blue. It's right there at the top. So make sure you guys, hit that. Once again, shout out to Mars if I didn't already for the super chat. Who else we got here? So I gotta take a little. I need to have my little theme music for the middle for the inner. Michael Bozanovsky, shout out to you for the super chat. Who else we got? Clarence Rogers. Monogamy is a Western concept and it doesn't work. Polygamy is the answer. I hear you. I hear you, man. You know what I'm saying? Honesty is the best. Clarence Rogers, appreciate the super chat. When the government legalizes prostitution, the institution of marriage is going to be finished. It's curtains. I don't know if it'll be finished, but even the playing field, you know what I'm saying? I can understand that. You know what I'm saying? The call lines are open. Guys, run it up to 100 likes. Hit that like button. It doesn't cost you a thing. We are now at 88 likes. We 12 away from 100. Go ahead and hit that like button if you're just now entering. So closing thoughts, Bianca. We got that in terms of that. What do
Okay, my
you?
closing thoughts is there's a new form of cheating, and I
Mhm.
think that it's going to really change the atmosphere. I mean, we literally think that, these temptations and having affairs are difficult now. It's going to get even worse because there's virtual cheating. And if you guys haven't seen the movie, it's a good movie. I posted a TikTok about this, where they're spending billions of dollars on metaverse. Literally with metaverse making gadgets and things where you enter a virtual world and you literally can feel someone touching you. We've already seen cases of women saying that they've been groped inappropriately in the metaverse. This is the real deal. So we used to laugh at the news when these men had these fake dolls and marrying these dolls or whatever. You can literally now, they will be having it where you can go into a metaverse and literally feel like you're having sexual relationships with these people because they look literally like you and I, human beings, and you can actually feel and touch, taste, all those things. They're making gadgets right now for you to feel like this is real. People are going to get caught up in a delusion, an illusion of a fake world. They're going to prefer the fake world over the real world. And this is real. So if you hooked and addicted to, pornography and all these other things right now, this is going to be something that is going to ruin marriages, is going to ruin relationships. Um, this is like serious. It's really serious. So I don't know if you guys know about that, but this is something that is like literally in the making, and it's going to be pretty it's going to impact quite a bit. So I'm looking at you all's comments here. It says women have Tinder, men have metaverse. Yes.
You said women have a tender minute. What was that?
So I was talking about metaverse and the new virtual reality and them spending billions of dollars creating eye sets and gloves and everything where you can actually go into a world and it looks like a real world. You see real people and you can actually feel somebody touching your body. This is going to be the new thing where you're going to prefer a fake world and you're going to feel like you're actually having sexual relations with somebody in a fake world. You think porno addiction is bad? This is going to be on a whole nother level, and this is going to be the new form of cheating because they're going to be like, oh, well, I ain't getting no STD, why you mad? Really? This is going to be a whole nother level, I'm telling you.
Yo, somebody said Ready Player One. Good night, bro.
It's real. This is
Yeah.
real. I posted my little TikTok, I'm telling you, this is real stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, needs are being met though. I guess in that case, or wants, excuse me, wants are being met. In that case, it's not necessarily a needs because we talking about this whole robotic situation and things like that.
But can you imagine that entering a world? You have the painted picture. You can pick who you want to be with, and they look the way you want it, and put it on your preference. And literally, you can feel them, touching you, and everything like that.
Yeah, that sounds like heaven.
That sounds like
Mhm.
heaven.
No, I'm
That
serious. I
sounds
mean,
scary.
that's the
That's
description.
scary.
That's the descriptions of paradise. When you get into paradise, that person, your specs based off your eyes, they will adjust to what it is that you desire when you enter the kingdom of heaven. You know, so just some things like based off what you're saying just now. So but I can dig it. But I think we brought up, I mean, there's definitely a good conversation to be had in this, and I think what we can all derive or take from this is communication, which me personally, I coming from a standpoint of someone who was afraid or not afraid, but reluctant to communicate at one point with his significant other, as many men and women are, and they will remain in a relationship where they may not be happy, or they are in a relationship where they aren't fulfilled, but because of the fact that I'm married, or I don't want to disrupt the status quo or disrupt what's going on, and they'll go to their grave with regret that I should have said this to to my significant other, instead
Yeah,
of, living somewhat unhappy, if you will, is a disservice to yourself, in
exactly.
my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad, from a woman's perspective, that you're able to say, it's not always the men. And I didn't ask you that question to trip you up, about who do you think, has communicates better or lacks communication and things like that. I know it comes into innuendo, which is a typical thing
Mm-hmm.
with which is said as far as women speaking innuendo, or men are more direct, but you do have some men who are very passive and do get frustrated because they don't feel comfortable enough, which I think is another thing of being with your significant other, not being comfortable.
Or if the
So
environment is not, made where he feels like, he can say without being criticized or judged.
yeah. The environment, when you say environment, what do you mean?
So when I say environment, a lot of times, just when you walk in a house, someone's presence, you already feel like somebody's attitude. You know what I'm saying? The tension, the environment, you feel the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Feel the vibe. Yeah, no, I know for sure. I just thought it was more of like a, when we say environment, if it was more so the person than the environment. And I know people can create a hostile environment
Yeah.
that, and I know a lot of people come home to that, men and women. They come home, or they dread coming home, or they do come home late because they don't want to come home to an environment that they have to, like, oh, I'm gonna hear this when I walk through the door, or he's gonna be on my ass. Who talked to me today?
Right.
Who asked for my, did anybody ask for my number? Or, same thing with a guy. When I come home today, what did I do wrong? It's always something, and that's, we need to be mindful of when we're communicating with our significant other, of always attacking them and be like, what did I do wrong? When they up and leave your ass, and then you're like, oh, they did this, that, and the third. Especially from a standpoint of, and I'm not taking up for the men, in particular, but the women who are just like, well, he up and left me and the kid, which I don't agree with any man not taking care of your child, but you can't be in a situation that's toxic either, where you have to be a woman's footstool and she's basically demeaning you, and vice versa, where you're being demeaned and things like that. And the only way to stay is if you basically have to put up with what this other person is putting out,
Yeah.
to
I,
be
I
free of all that. Go ahead.
and that's why I have two workshops. So, and these workshops are free at the moment. But I have a workshop on how to effectively communicate and how to reframe your communication. So if you go to my site, biancalgibson.com, and go to
Okay.
my workshops, you can actually register for those workshops. I think they're very helpful. I make it very fun. It's real life situations that each person actually gets to bring scenarios and we tackle them. And I think it's
Mm.
very helpful to do that, because in a group environment you get a lot of interaction. There's no judgment. People are literally wanting to learn how to communicate better.
Repeat that again, Bianca. I'm gonna pin this in the description, but and if one of my mods, y'all can pin this in the chat as well. Repeat that, Bianca. Where can they
It
find that at?
is at biancalgibson.com.
Okay.
And if you go to the workshops, life workshops is reframing communication, learning how to reframe what you're saying, something negative, into a productive conversation. And the other workshop is how to effectively communicate. And what we do is actually bring in real life examples, text messages, emails, some people even bring in their recorded conversations, and we actually dissect it and we put together, this is how we could have said this better. This is
Mm,
what we could have presented, and this is the possible results. And it really trains people how to kind of monitor how they communicate and also strategize, like, okay, if this person says this, how would I respond and how will I react and how will that trigger my emotions?
mm. Yo,
Yeah.
I need one of my mods to put that in the chat already. What Bianca was just, put her site up in there. If you guys didn't hear that, rewind it back, because I already had her say it twice. Where else can anyone reach you at, Bianca? Where can they follow you at and reach you at to
So
get
I'm
more of your
trying to
content?
get my YouTube channel like yours, but it's Bianca L. Gibson on YouTube. Definitely on
Mhm.
YouTube, TikTok, Bianca L. Gibson. And then, of course, on Instagram, Bianca L. Gibson, FIY.
Got it. So all those are all the same name in terms of that.
Yes.
Got you. Okay, well, as usual, Bianca, it's been a pleasure. You feel
Likewise.
me? We obviously gonna do more of these in the future for those of you guys who like seeing Bianca and you appreciate her perspective on these topics, so on and so forth. You can definitely, check her out on, all of her handles that she just mentioned as well. Some of them are already in the description right now. I'm waiting on my mods to put it in the chat. And we'll put all that stuff in the actual website in the description as well. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe, like, follow, all those things as well. So it's all gravy. With that being said, if you could stand by, Bianca, I'm gonna just go ahead and do my closeout.
Okay.
I
Cool.
just got a question for you real quick, and you know, we're gonna go ahead and close this out. So just stand by, and let me go ahead and close this out here. All right. So, guys, there you have it, man. This has been a wonderful, live stream. I appreciate all the support. Shout out to Clarence Rogers on the super chat here. When I was a young captain, my brigade commander told me to leave my wife before she destroys my career. I left her in the nick of time. Shout out to you, man, for doing that. You know what I mean? But appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Make sure you guys subscribe to Bianca's all of her handles. They're in the description as well. I was, hoping my mods will put it in there, but we'll have it in the description for you guys watching the restream to go on her website to get those services that she mentioned that she's offering. Also, if you guys didn't know, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my backup channel. Let me know your thoughts for you guys who may be tuning in on the restream. As far as this, if you've been I don't want to say a victim, but if you succumb to temptation or you have had an issue with communication, make sure you comment. I want to hear your story below, man. Also, follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description below. You can follow Bianca on her Instagram. All the links are in the description below. If you want to book a one-on-one with yours truly, hit me up on Calendly and Linktree. Everything that I'm mentioning is below for the fifth time as well. Also, if you guys didn't know, I have a new show called The Cuffing Reason Show every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in being a guest, you're looking for love, we can put you with the person that you need to be with at the end of the day. It's gonna happen. Don't don't fret. We got you. Make sure you guys purchase all my books and merch. Got stuff for you. Make sure you subscribe to my backup channel and subscribe to the Hustlers Apprentice channel if you're interested in credit, buying a house, getting a car, just getting more access to funds. It's down below. Wisdom Fitness is coming. I'm on Fat Boy time now, so it's coming soon. You guys, just stick with it and subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? I got something for y'all coming up. Seriously, we're not playing. Spring is already here, literally. So you guys should already be on that type of time. And listen, man, I don't have really much else to say, man. Make sure you guys tune in, like as many videos as you can, subscribe, check out all my videos. We always got new content. Yo, I'm trying to run this up to 70,000. We're coming up on 60,000 subs right now. Trying to run this up to 70,000. Y'all quit playing. Subscribe. Tell your friends about me. You know what I'm saying? And they can subscribe as well. And with that being said, man, listen, this is wisdom. Peace be upon you all. the mercy and blessings of the Almighty. I may check you out. I might do my little chicken wing and communion show on Thursday, man. Who knows? You know what I mean? I was hoping we would hit 100 likes, but I'm gonna quit playing with y'all, man. Y'all playing around. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna catch you guys probably Thursday, God willing, for the chicken wing and communion show, the first one, the first episode. So I'll see you guys then. Once again, I appreciate everybody with the super chat. Appreciate all the supporters, and you know where to find us. I'm out. Peace.